The opposing the Paris Agreement community believes that the Paris Agreement is the most dangerous and far-reaching threat to democracy and liberty ever seen. The community has these 5 objectives. This video focuses on Objective 2, exposing the global network of organizations and people we did not vote for that are controlling the governments we did vote for. This is a vast subject, but today we will concentrate on the role of the United Nations Secretary General. As an introduction, we asked the question, how is it possible for a socialist ex-Prime Minister of Portugal to abruptly destroy global coal mining communities? How could this possibly come about? The answer starts with the Paris Agreement. Its goals is to limit global warming to well below 2, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. To achieve this long-term temperature goal, countries aim to reach global peaking of greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible to achieve a climate-neutral world by mid-century. This goal is set by the United Nations. Antonio Guterres has served as the United Nations Secretary General since 2017. As a member of the Portuguese Socialist Party, he served as Prime Minister of Portugal from 1995 to 2002. It is worth looking at his accomplishments during that time. According to the European Commission, economic developments in Portugal were uneven since the middle of the 1990s, the time Mr. Guterres became Prime Minister. In the late 1990s, large imbalances built up, notably a sharp rise in the net borrowing of the economy. Starting in early 2001, growth dwindled and the economy slipped into recession in late 2002 at the end of the premiership of Mr. Guterres. By 2003, he handed over a GDP that is estimated to have fallen by 0.75%, almost the weakest performance among the EU member states. This resulted in rapid increases of unemployment. Inflation remains significantly above the euro area average. Most seriously, the general government deficit rose to 4.25% of GDP in 2001. So, not a great track record. Nevertheless, Mr. Guterres has recently taken the oath of office for his second 5-year term as Secretary General of the United Nations. Mr. Guterres is thus charged with the implementation of the Paris Agreement and the fact that this requires economic and social transformation. He takes on the mantle of this requirement in a virtual address to the Davos World Economic Forum. He says the world needs a new social contract and a new global deal. And a new global deal in turn requires a new model for global governance. He is deeply convinced that to deal with global challenges, there should be global responses. He is so convinced of the concept of global governance and the Paris Agreement goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible that he does not hesitate to issue a call to our national governments to cancel all global coal projects in the pipeline, and to do so now. He is aware of the impact this will have on jobs and communities. But his response is truly revealing. He says that the needs of coal communities must be recognized and concrete solutions must be provided at a very local level. At a very local level. Although skillfully disguised, this is the equivalent of Marie Antoinette's "let them eat cake." It translates to "let them sort it out themselves" at a very local level. Just how will coal miners sort this out? How will it affect their families? If given enough time, if coal were phased out gradually, then they would have a chance. But the proponents of the Paris Agreement, such as Mr. Alok Sharma and COP26, insist we must act now. They are prepared to sacrifice others, while they fly around the world promoting the Paris Agreement and COP26. We can now put forward the answer to our original question: how is it possible for a socialist ex-Prime Minister of Portugal to abruptly destroy global coal mining communities? It starts with a so far invisible set of enormously influential people and global companies. Their method is first appoint a puppet as Secretary General of the United Nations. Then appoint further puppets in national governments and global organizations. Create a global problem, climate change. Attain global agreement on how to fix the problem, the Paris Agreement. Create a sense of urgency. We must act now at COP26. Pull the strings on the puppets as and when required. Who is pulling the strings? We will return to that subject in later videos. For now, we can follow the process as it unfolds. The global puppet issues a decree. A puppet within a global organization helps to broadcast the decree. An elected national leader has his strings pulled, and our national policies are thus shaped and carried out in obedience to the globalist decree. These puppets are spread across the world. Without doubt, some of them think or imagine that in fact they are part of the global elite. But they are not. They are merely puppets or useful idiots, obeying the decrees passed down to them. And while they obey the decree to cancel all global coal projects, China increases its use of coal, as does India. It is thus difficult not to conclude that in the West there are no longer any political parties and few politicians of integrity, and that we are being governed by self-serving charlatans who in turn are being controlled by a plutocratic elite that uses puppets such as Antonio Guterres and global organizations such as the UN, WHO, World Bank, IPCC, WEF to impose its will. The struggle to wrest control from these charlatans will be immense, but it must be done. And this community believes that mounting opposition to the implementation of the Paris Agreement is key to restoring democracy and liberty. If you would like to join our community, you can discover us by searching the locals.com website, or go directly through opposingtheparisagreement.locals.com.